Hello and welcome to another recipe from my Yiayia's cookbook. Now today's recipe is really great to share amongst family and friends, and it's easily cooked both indoors and outdoors, so it's great for the warm weather. So what we're cooking today is quail with an eggplant dip, or as Sophia says, an eggplant salata with a Greek salad. Now what is really cool about this recipe is that the eggplant dip is one of my grandmother's favorite things to make, so I'm really excited to get started. The first part of the eggplant stage is to cut up our onion. Now what's really interesting about the onion is once we've finely diced the onion, we're just going to pop it in a bowl of water for 30 to 40 minutes. And what this does, it will actually reduce the smell, that really strong onion smell, and it will help settle the onion flavor. So let's start doing that. So I'm just going to peel the onion. Still not great at peeling onions. Now just keep in mind that the onion flavor in the eggplant dip is really strong, so the recipe does call to use a whole onion, but if you do have, you know, an issue with that strong onion flavor, perhaps only use half an onion. I'm choosing to use a small onion. Alrighty, so I'm going to cut in half. And now we've got to cut it up quite finely, which I'm not particularly good at. Okay, we'll just go the other way. So what you're going to do with this onion is you're going to add it to the eggplant later on. And with your mortar and pestle, you're actually going to mash everything together, and that's what's actually going to make your eggplant dip. So you are using raw onion. Okay. We'll do the other half, and yes, I am crying. This is a very strong onion. I think that about does it. Alrighty, so we're going to pop our onion into our jug of water. And just leave that to soak for 30 to 40 minutes, so for as long as the eggplant is in the oven. Alrighty, and now we can move on to the eggplant. So we're going to take 3 eggplants. Now Sophia says the firmer the eggplant, the less seeds that you'll find inside. So I've picked 3 pretty firm eggplants, but as you can see, they're not huge, you know, they're pretty medium in size. So alrighty. And what we need to do is cut the tops of the eggplant and then just slice down the middle. Again, top off the eggplant. Chop off. And slice down the middle. The reason why we're slicing the eggplant down the middle is just so it softens a little quicker than what a whole eggplant will in the oven. Okay, so alrighty, so we have our eggplant on our oven tray. We just need to add some oil, just olive oil. You don't need to add a lot. This will just help with the cooking process. And that's literally it. We put the eggplant in the oven, leave it for 30 to 40 minutes, 160 to 180 is fine. And you'll know when it's done because, you know, the eggplant will look cooked, it'll be oozy, and it'll look kind of mushy and soft. So that's what we're looking for, a soft eggplant. Now we're at the quail stage of the recipe. So this is probably the longest process and the most difficult. So this is our quail. What we are going to do with the quail first is butterfly. So the easiest way to do that is by turning the quail breast down and with scissors just cutting along the backbone. So that will open the quail right up. Let's start by putting our quail breast down, and as you can see, there's the inside of the quail, so it's really easy, you know, to find where the backbone is. It just starts there. And with your scissors, just cut along. Now, you might need to use a little bit of force. There we go. Just open it right up. Now you may need to kind of force it open just a little bit. And if you feel as though you need to do that, please do, because it will help a lot during the cooking process. It will just mean that the meat cooks a little bit more evenly. So that's it. That is a butterflied quail. So you do have the back and neck bone just there. Some people remove it, others don't. I'm just going to leave it because I remember my grandfather and my father always leaving it, so I don't think it's a problem. The reason why we are going to wash the meat though, thank you Yiayia, is because we do need to remove the little bits and pieces that you can see inside the quail just to tidy it up a bit. But like I said, over the years, I don't particularly remember my father or grandfather removing any of the insides, but I will. Okay, again, just flatten it. We need to tidy up the inside. And then things like, you know, this here, all that excess stuff that we don't particularly want, we will get rid of. Okay, again, breast side down. You'll notice that your quails aren't all the same size either, so you'll need to think about that during the cooking process. Just, you know, making sure that the bigger quails are on hotter heat. So as you can see, I'm just inserting from the bottom of the quail and making sure that it is open to help us with the cooking process. So I got my quails from my local butcher, and I have to say that it was difficult to track quail down because here in Melbourne we've had some really warm weather and nobody's been getting their deliveries of quail. But lucky for me, my family-owned butcher shop was more than willing to accommodate me, which was very nice of them. And our last one. Okay, so now that we've butterflied the quail and we have them open nice and flat, we are going to take a small knife and just under some cold water, wash the meat and cut off any bits of the inside that we don't particularly want. So there's a bit that just came off in my hand as I was talking that we don't want. So I've got my little knife here, so easy to work with, and I'm just going to go over to the water and just start rinsing and cleaning. So, we've cleaned the inside of our quail, but what I do want to do is whoa, be careful, it's slippery. What I do want to do is tidy up the neck area because there's a lot of excess skin. Now, I really don't think that most people would worry about doing that, but I want to. So, I'm just going to flip over my red mat and just quickly go over the quail, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Like just this stuff here, I just need to get rid of it. Just make sure that there's no bits of, you know, neck, that stuff. Now, 3 at a time, I'm just going to take some paper towel and dry off the quail because it's going to help the quail brown once we put it on the grill. Or the pan, or whatever you choose to use. You know, you can do this on a barbecue, you can use a grill, a fry pan, whatever you have. Alrighty. Now, what we'll do is the 3 that we've dried so far, I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. Always the Greek salt. Now, you can use a fair bit of salt and pepper on the quail because we don't actually add any salt or pepper into the marinade. All that is oil, oregano, and lemon. Okay. Now, there's not a great deal of meat on a quail, so, I mean, you might want to allow for 2 to 3 per person. Okay, again, we'll just some pepper. Some salt. Still have not managed to find my Greek pepper. And again, salt. All right. Now our quail is almost ready to go to the grill, but what I want to do just before we finish is make the marinade. So that's really easy. All we need is a little jug, some oregano. So I'm going to use a fair bit of oregano, I think, because I really like the flavor. So I think 2 teaspoons is a good amount to use. Just the juice of 1 lemon should be fine. So we'll put that in. Okay, and olive oil. Olive oil is literally in everything. I don't know, 2 to 3 tablespoons is probably fine of olive oil. Now, just with a little mini whisk, mix it all up. And what you're going to do with this marinade is you're going to put some on the breast side now because we're going to cook the breast first, but then as the meat is cooking on the grill, you're just going to keep basting. So just keep, adding the marinade just for that extra flavor. And I promise you, even though we've only used 3 very simple ingredients in the marinade, it is going to be a big flavor hit. So let's just put some on the breast side down. Don't be too concerned about, marinating it really well or anything like that, just as long as there is some coverage, because like I said, we're going to keep adding the marinade during the cooking process. All right. Picking up the plate carefully so nothing falls, but there we have the quail with salt and pepper, with its marinade, butterflied perfectly to help everything cook evenly. Now we can move over to the grill with our marinade and start cooking the quail, which is really easy. The quail really only needs probably 10 minutes on the breast side, and then on the inside probably only 7 to 8 minutes. What's really interesting about quail is, unlike chicken, you can serve quail a little pink. It doesn't have to be completely white meat. So anyway, we'll move over to the stove. Okay, now what we'll do first is just add a little bit of olive oil to the grill. Don't need a lot. All right. Now you just need to make sure your grill gets nice and hot like mine is now. And you can just take each quail Just remember the quail's slippery, so no sudden movements, it will fall off the plate. And just breast side down. Now while that's cooking, I might take a bit of the marinade and just marinate the bit that we haven't yet. Alrighty, 10 minutes. Now these quails look just about done to me. As you can see, they've browned really nicely on both sides. So I'm going to transfer the quail to the platter that I'm going to later serve them on and just let them rest for a little while until lunch is served. Okay, let's move on to our salad. Now for the easy part, our traditional Greek salad. So for a traditional Greek salad, you only need very few ingredients, and believe me, they're beautiful, fresh and delicious. So all I'm going to be using is my lettuce, 2 Lebanese cucumbers, some fresh tomatoes and some feta cheese. Now the feta cheese I've just bought from my local supermarket, and today I'm using Australian full cream feta. For the dressing, olive oil, oregano and salt is all that's needed. Now you could add some lemon juice to your dressing and some onion to your salad. However, I'm not going to because we've used a lot of lemon juice in our quail marinade, and we've also used a lot of onion in our eggplant dip. Alrighty, so let's start by cutting up. So we have our lettuce. I'm just going to cut the first bit off and get rid of that because they're generally tired leaves that we don't need, and just start slicing. Other things you can add to your Greek salad are olives and capsicum. However, in the household that I've grown up in, we don't usually use either of the two in our Greek salad, so I'm not going to today either. Alrighty, so we'll just add our lettuce. And just so you know, all my vegetables and salad ingredients have been pre-washed. Alrighty, just break up the lettuce leaves a bit. Okay, now we have our 2 Lebanese cucumbers. So we'll cut off the top, get rid of that. Nothing fancy, because there really is nothing fancy about a Greek salad. It is what it is. Plenty of fresh, cool cucumber. Add that in. Oh, cucumber smells beautiful. Alrighty, our tomato. I think I might just use 2 tomatoes. So we'll take them off their little vines there. Now, cut them in half. Easiest way to cut a tomato. In half, flesh side down. And I'll cut up one more just because I'm sharing this lunch with my friends. We don't want any lack of tomato. Okay, got our tomato. Now I'm just going to clean the board. Get some paper towel just to soak up the tomato juice, and then we'll cut up our feta cheese, which is my favourite cheese. So again, it's full cream feta. You can buy feta cheese from anywhere these days. Supermarkets, delis, wherever, whenever. Alrighty, so I've just made thinner pieces out of the feta. I'm just going to cut little cubes. Another great feta cheese to use is Bulgarian feta. It's really creamy, and that's the feta that my Yiayia uses. And you can also use Danish feta. But Australian feta holds its shape a lot better than what the Bulgarian and Danish fetas do. Okay. And all our beautiful cheese. Alrighty, now what we need to do is just do our quick dressing, which really simple. Some olive oil. Some oregano, or oregano, depending on what part of the world you're from. I like to use a lot of oregano. So I'm going to use probably 2 teaspoons. And a really good pinch of salt. Now, what I would do is I would pop this on my table and toss it literally just before everybody sits down, if not once everyone has sat down, because as you can see, the way the salad looks before it's been tossed is really impressive and so delicious. So now that we've made our salad, we can go back to the eggplant and finish off our eggplant dip. And dare I say, it's almost lunchtime. We are now at the eggplant stage of the recipe. So, as you can see, we have a beautiful brown golden eggplant that is just so soft to touch. It smells divine, and you can literally see the natural oils of the eggplant just oozing up through the vegetable itself. So, we have our eggplant and we have our onion that has been soaking in water. So first things first, we need to drain the onion and pop that aside. We then need to remove the skins of the eggplant, then mix the onion and eggplant together. So it's a pretty simple process, but it may take just a little bit of time to get the onion and eggplant consistency right. So let's see how we go. So just with my tongs, I'm going to remove each eggplant off the tray. Be very careful, the eggplant is so soft. And it's the skin that we need to remove from the eggplant. All right, so we've got that there. First thing, onion water, we are going to drain. Okay, so there's our finely cut onion. We'll leave that there for just a moment. Now, we need to remove the skins off the eggplant. So I think the easiest way to do that is flick the eggplant over. Be careful because the more you squeeze, the more juice will come out and it will just peel away. Now if you lose a bit of eggplant in the skin, don't worry because you can just scrape it off. You know, this might even be easier if you don't mind to do it with your hands. I think it might just peel off a bit better. And I don't mind cooking with my hands, to be honest. I quite like to feel my food. I think it gives me personally a better indication as to whether, you know, food's cooked and how well it's cooked. Much easier. But just be careful because the eggplant, you know, it is quite hot. There wasn't a lot of eggplant in this one. So now what we need to do is just cut up the eggplant a little bit to make it easy for us to work with. It's really easy to cut up. Okay. Now I don't have a really big pestle, so I might need to do this. I wonder if I'll be able, oh no, I might be able to fit it all in. Yeah, that will do. And we have our onion. Now what I'm going to do with the onion is I'm just going to very lightly pat dry the onion just to get rid of that excess water, because remember the water holds all the flavour because the onion's been soaking. So I'm just going to pat dry. Okay. All right, onion in. Get rid of this board. And now we just need to mash. Now, as you can see, my pestle is looking a little bit full. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take half of the contents out and just pop it in a bowl. It might make it just a little bit easier to work with. That way I can really, you know, mash up the eggplant as well as I need to. Okay, so I've just removed half of it. Okay, so now we're just really mashing and squishing the onion and the eggplant as well as we can to make our eggplant dip or salad, you know, as Sophia refers to it as. Now I guess it's up to you just how much you want to mash the eggplant. I like my eggplant dip to have little chunks of eggplant and onion in it, so I'm not going to be too concerned about having, you know, that perfect consistency. But if you want to take the easy way out and improve the consistency of your eggplant dip, as Sophia says in the cookbook, just pop it in the food processor. And it'll take what will take, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. By hand, literally 2 seconds in your food processor. That's fine by me. So I'm going to add that half to my platter because to me that's done. That's a really good consistency, I think. And I'll just continue on with what I have left. This also gives you a really good idea of just how far 3 eggplants will take you. So if you're cooking, you know, for more than 4 to 6 people, you might need to double the quantity. Okay, again, good consistency, and I'm going to add this to my platter. Okay. And there we have our eggplant dip or salad. We now have our perfectly cooked quail, our very traditional eggplant dip, and our fresh Greek salad. So I think it's about time lunch is served.